What if a divine messenger appeared at your doorstep, offering wisdom that could change your world forever? Long ago, the Lakota Sioux were facing a time of great difficulty. The buffalo, their source of life, were disappearing, and their spirits grew heavy as their connection to the Great Spirit seemed to fade. Desperate to find food and hope, the tribe sent 2 hunters out into the wilderness. But what they discovered was not the game they sought. As the sun's first light touched the land, they spotted something unusual in the distance. Through the early morning mist, a figure emerged, a woman. Her robes pure as the driven snow, her presence both serene and powerful. She moved toward them with an otherworldly grace, as if she was not of this earth. One of the hunters, overtaken by her beauty, reached for his bow, but before he could act, his companion stayed his hand. Something about this woman was sacred. There was a quiet power in her gaze, a mysterious wisdom that seemed to fill the air around her. They watched in awe as she approached, her eyes carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. Who was she? What did she want with them? They could feel it deep within. They were about to witness something that would forever change their people, something divine, something beyond their understanding. This was no ordinary woman. This was the White Buffalo Calf Woman, and her arrival would alter the course of their future. The White Buffalo Calf Woman stepped forward, her movements as graceful as the wind, yet her presence commanded the very air around her. The hunters stood frozen, caught between awe and reverence as she approached, cradling something wrapped in soft cloth. Her eyes, deep with ancient wisdom, seemed to pierce through the veil of time itself. She spoke with a voice both gentle and powerful, telling them that she had come from the Great Spirit, carrying a message meant for all the Lakota people. In her arms was a sacred bundle, and as she began to unwrap it, the world around the hunters seemed to hold its breath. Slowly, she revealed the chanunpa, the sacred peace pipe. Its surface gleamed as if infused with the light of the stars. This was no ordinary object, but a gift that would mend the broken connection between the Lakota and the spiritual world. She spoke of the sacred rites, each word a thread, weaving a bridge between the people and the divine. The hunters could feel a shift in the air, a calmness that settled deep in their souls. This pipe wasn't just a tool, it was a living link to the Great Spirit, the earth, the animals, the sky, everything that made up their world. She promised that as long as the Lakota honored the pipe, they would find strength in times of need, unity when the world seemed divided, and guidance when they were lost. But her words held more weight than mere promises. This was a call to embrace a sacred path, one that would carry the tribe forward through darkness and light, forever bound to the spirit world. The White Buffalo Calf Woman did not simply offer the sacred pipe and leave. No, she stayed, her presence serene yet commanding, as if time itself slowed in reverence to her words. She began to teach, guiding the hunters with gentle wisdom. She showed them how to hold the pipe with reverence, how to use it to send prayers on the rising smoke that would carry their hopes, their dreams, and their needs to the Great Spirit above. The air around them seemed to hum with a newfound energy as she spoke, explaining how every puff of smoke was not just a gesture, but a connection, a bridge between the earth and the heavens. With each word, the hunters felt their hearts swell with understanding. She taught them not only how to pray, but how to live. The pipe was more than a tool. It was a guide for how to walk the earth, respecting the animals, the trees, the rivers, and the skies. Each piece of the world was intertwined, and the smoke was the thread that wove it all together. The hunters stood in awe, realizing that they held something far greater than a ritual. They held a path that would lead their people to harmony and balance. As she concluded her teachings, the hunters were overcome with the weight of their task. They were entrusted with a gift not meant for them alone, but for all their people. They knew her words would echo through the generations, changing the very fabric of their existence. But one question lingered, unspoken. Who was this woman really? And why had she come to them in this moment, offering such a profound blessing? The 2 hunters stood in the presence of something otherworldly, but only one truly understood the gravity of the moment. The White Buffalo Calf Woman had appeared before them with a purpose far beyond their understanding, her presence radiant and serene. Yet one of the hunters, blinded by his own desire, could only see her beauty. He moved closer, his intentions tainted, thinking he could claim this divine being for himself. Her gaze, once filled with warmth, shifted to one of sorrow. Without uttering a single word, she breathed softly, and in that instant, the hunter collapsed to the ground, a lifeless pile of bones. His fate was sealed, a stark reminder of the peril of disrespecting the sacred. The remaining hunter stood frozen, his heart pounding, overwhelmed by what he had just witnessed. She turned to him, her eyes gentle once again, her power now fully realized in his mind. He had shown her reverence, and for this he was spared. The white buffalo calf woman continued her teachings, her movements graceful as though nothing had changed, yet the air around them buzzed with the undeniable energy of what had transpired. The hunter understood in his soul this was no ordinary encounter. He had been chosen to carry her wisdom, but only those pure in heart could bear the weight of such divine knowledge. The hunter returned to his village, his steps weighed down by the enormity of what he had witnessed. His eyes, wide with wonder, locked with the elders and chiefs who gathered in silence, sensing the gravity of his tale before he even spoke. He told them of the white buffalo calf woman, her ethereal presence, and the sacred gift she had bestowed upon their people. With reverent hands, they unwrapped the bundle she had left, revealing the sacred pipe, the kanunpa. The air around them seemed to still, as if even the wind held its breath, awaiting what would come next. The elders followed her instructions precisely, lighting the pipe and sending their prayers spiraling into the sky. As the smoke drifted upward, a gentle breeze stirred, caressing their faces like a whisper from the heavens. The ground beneath them rumbled softly, and far on the horizon, they saw the movement of buffalo returning after what felt like an eternity of absence. The sight brought tears to their eyes. The people who had once been disconnected and uncertain now felt the powerful pulse of renewal sweep through the village. It wasn't just the return of the buffalo, it was as if their spirits, too, had returned from a long journey. Each time they used the pipe, their connection with the world around them deepened. The earth felt alive under their feet, the sky more open above. The village prospered, not just in body, but in spirit. They knew now that they were never alone, that the sacred bond between them, the land and the Great Spirit, had been restored. The moment had arrived. The white buffalo calf woman, who had walked among the Lakota people, imparting her wisdom and gifts, knew it was time to return to the spirit world. The village gathered around her, their hearts filled with awe and reverence as she stood before them, glowing with an ethereal light. Her presence had brought them closer to the divine, and now, with her final words, she reminded them of the sacred rituals she had taught: the pipe, the prayers, the respect for all living things. Every eye was on her, knowing they were witnessing something beyond this world. As her voice fell silent, she turned to leave, walking slowly toward the distant horizon. The people watched, their hearts heavy yet full of something deeper, hope, perhaps, or the weight of understanding. Just before disappearing into the vast landscape, she paused and turned one last time. In a moment so profound, it seemed as though time itself stood still. She began to transform. Before their eyes, the woman became a white buffalo calf, her fur gleaming under the fading sun. A collective gasp echoed through the crowd. Without another word, the white buffalo calf woman vanished into the horizon, leaving behind not just the sacred pipe, but a promise whispered on the wind. She would return when her people needed her most. And so, the Lakota stood in silent wonder, knowing this was not the end, but the beginning of something eternal. The Lakota people were forever transformed by the visit of the white buffalo calf woman. Her presence had been more than just an encounter. It was a moment that shifted the soul of the tribe. After she left, the sacred pipe she gifted them became the very heartbeat of their existence. With every sunrise, the pipe was used in ceremonies that connected the people to the Great Spirit, to the earth beneath their feet, and to the winds that carried their prayers to the sky. In moments of healing, in celebrations of life, and in times of uncertainty, the pipe was their guide, reminding them that they were never truly alone. Her story was whispered by firesides, carried on the breath of the elders, and woven into the fabric of each new generation. The memory of her visit was not something of the past. It lived, pulsing through the veins of every Lakota child born under the vast sky. And though she had vanished, her promise echoed in their hearts. She would return when they needed her most. As the years passed, the people held to this promise, honoring her teachings with unwavering faith. But deep down, a question lingered, silent, yet ever present. When would she return? Would it be in their lifetime, or their children's? What challenges would bring her back? And as they gazed across the plains, they knew they must remain vigilant, for the white buffalo calf woman could return at any moment, just as mysteriously as she had first arrived. To this day, the Lakota people watch the horizon, their hearts filled with quiet anticipation, waiting for the return of the white buffalo calf woman. Her promise, whispered through the winds of time, still lingers in the hearts of the Lakota, a reminder of the sacred bond she forged with them long ago. Generations have passed, but the rituals she taught remain as strong as ever. The smoke of the sacred pipe rises to the sky, carrying their prayers, connecting them to the Great Spirit just as she had shown them. They gather in circles, sharing her story under the stars, each retelling, bringing her presence closer, as though she never truly left. In times of celebration and in moments of hardship, the Lakota hold fast to the promise of her return. They believe that when the need is greatest, when the people and the earth cry out together, the white buffalo calf woman will once again walk among them. They wait, not with fear, but with faith, knowing that she is always watching, always listening. The elders say that when she comes, she will bring with her not just the wisdom of the past, but the light of a new beginning. And so, the Lakota people continue their vigil, eyes on the distant horizon, hearts open to the possibility that one day, the white buffalo calf will appear once more, ushering in the dawn of a sacred future.